there. Welcome to Rincon in sunny Puerto Rico and the Wigmore Natural Health Institute. I'm Deborah Secunda, and when I need a little rest and rejuvenation, I come here for the warm healing waters and the raw living foods. Wigmore had already successfully established Hippocrates Institute in Boston, but when she was looking to create a second retreat back in 1990, she chose this tropical climate. This beach just outside the Institute is my favorite for long walks at sunset. Today, the Wigmore Institute is busy and flourishing more than ever, teaching all the basics of her living foods lifestyle. It's a nonprofit school that teaches you how to connect with and heal yourself. The 2-week curriculum emphasizes proper nutrition and tools for body, mind, and spirit wholeness. And what a curriculum it is! The day starts with seaside yoga. Or try conscious walking for some great cardio. Have you ever wondered how a few seeds can become a meal? How to set up a raw living foods kitchen right at home. Sprouting and recipe classes take you through all the steps. You'll be an accomplished chef in just 2 weeks. Learn by doing with hands-on experience. Classes continue with planting and composting, and how to grow, juice, and use wheatgrass. Are you curious about how your body really works? Check out the classes with scientific explanations for your digestive system, proper food combining, and colon care. It's all about back to nature, inside and out. And then that all-important spiritual connection. Breathe and relax. Breathe and relax. Breathe and relax. People come to this western tip of Puerto Rico from all over the world. Several airlines fly into nearby Aguadilla or Mayaguez, where someone from the staff will gladly pick you up with a big welcoming hug. There's a whole beach community here of students, staff, and alumni. You can stay at the main Institute building or at any of the apartments here on the ocean. Simple and clean, and check out that Caribbean vibe. Several hotels just a few miles away offer discounts for students, all with great beaches and those glorious ocean views. Puerto Rico offers many different tourist attractions, not far from the Institute. A leisurely 10 or 20 minutes away, and you'll have your pick of the area's beautiful beaches. This one in the surfer town of Rincon just happens to be called Steps Beach, and it's also where you'll find some of the island's best snorkeling. If you're feeling adventurous with your downtime, take a day trip. One more. Try a visit to the fabulous parks and lighthouses, mineral salt beaches, the world-renowned Arecibo radio telescope, and the amazing Camoy Caves. The kitchen staff can even provide raw living food meals to go. don't forget, Rincon is a surfer town. So check out those surfers. And take the time to enjoy those incredible sunsets. Many people consider the Institute to be a home away from home, and if you ever wanted an extended family, this is it. Leola and Lolita are the directors here. Now, you both took over in 1994 when Dr. Ann passed away in a fire. Tell us about Dr. Ann.
She was an amazing person, amazing. She devoted her entire life to the Living Foods lifestyle. And she was a person who only ate raw and living foods. She slept maybe no more than 2 or 3 hours a night. She only had, when I spent the last few years with her, she would have a cup of energy soup in Puerto Rico and a small papaya and coconut water, and that's all she needed.
For the entire day?
Entire day.
So, and she had boundless energy.
Boundless energy. She could do headstands, and she could dance.
At how old was that?
She was going to be 85 years of age in a month before she passed away. And just boundless energy. And she had a most beautiful laugh. And she was a giving person. Her hands were always ready to receive people and to give to them because she believed in the Living Foods lifestyle. And she knew that the people throughout the world were having digestive system problems.
I happen to have here a book of scientific appraisals of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Living Foods lifestyle. And this was done back in 1993. Leola, what can you tell us about this?
What's in this book? Testimonies from doctors, statements from medical people, lab technicians that substantiate the things that we teach here.
She did a lot of research.
This is a program that she tried for 35 years.
Right.
She said, I am offering you this program in this silver platter for you to take it. Because it took me 35 years to develop.
Right.
Because she was studying, she was looking what is going on in the society. And then she realized that human beings are much more toxic.
Now, Dr. Ann actually cured herself of cancer with this diet. That's why she developed it.
Absolutely, she did. She had cancer of the colon many years ago. She has a very interesting book titled Why Suffer? And this tells about some of her illnesses. She was sick quite a bit as a young girl. And then coming to the U.S., she started eating all of the foods that are made available to people, all the baked goods, the sweet things, and then cancer came into her life. And then she decided to settle down and go back to nature.
Her grandmother fed her the grasses. And
what Dr. Ann really gave to society was indoor gardening. People grew things outside, but they never thought they could live in one room with some shelves, with a window, with the light shining in, with just a few cents in their hand or in their pocket. Anybody could sprout and grow.
We actually have some footage of Dr. Ann that was taken all the way back in 1970. Let's take a look.
Born in Lithuania in 1909, Dr. Ann was ill from birth. She first earned several degrees in the ministry and then moved to her specific interest in natural healing and disease prevention. Dr. Ann discovered several varieties of nourishing plants that solved her recurring nutrition problems. Not only did these grasses and weeds sustain her health, but actually improved it. Years of research with natural foods have resulted in the perfected wheatgrass program that Dr. Ann practices today.
Her research and self-healing started back in the 60s.
That means they've been in a window for about 2 days. And they all go into this, we call it complete meal salad. I guess we need more color, my dear. Yes. Color means either red pepper or tomatoes.
Teacher, healer, and pioneer in the living foods movement, Dr. Ann Wigmore dedicated her life to educating people around the world about the transforming qualities of living food.
Dr. Ann teaches students to become their own doctors by using living natural foods as their medicine.
We show you how to do things, how to become your own doctor by doing, and give you the tools to work with. And this is exactly what we're going to do. And I'm going to show you how to juice that precious lecithin on chlorophyll here, chlorophyll from the wheatgrass. So you see, wheatgrass is really a new age medicine. And I don't think we appreciate it because we don't understand the values yet.
She authored numerous books, including the Wheatgrass book, Be Your Own Doctor, and Why Suffer. She wrote that illness is caused by deficiency. Deficiency arises when the body cannot absorb the food that it consumes, and the body's immune system is starved. When you nourish your body with living food, especially easy-to-digest blended foods, you're providing a healthy environment for the body's cells to thrive in.
That's why people come to us from all over the world to just experience this method of learn by doing and become their own doctors and become healthy, because that's our birthright. Health is a birthright. Sickness is absolutely unnatural.
She wrote, I have suffered previously with many illnesses: cancer, arthritis, migraine headaches, hypoglycemia, allergies, and other conditions. My hair was completely gray when I was 50, but not today. Now at 79, my life is just beginning. But tragically, several years later, she passed away in a fire. Now, Lalita, you teach a class about the basics. Tell me about the basics of this lifestyle.
One of the things that we explain in that class very well to the students are the difference between raw food and living food. Living food is raw food, but what we do with the raw food is the key. We just work with the raw food in the way that this is really easy to digest. Dr. Ann Wigmore said, energy soup. What about energy soup? Energy soup is easy to digest nourishment.
Why is the blended food better than juicing?
When you have a juice, it's not a whole food because you separate the juice from the fiber. Energy soup is a big salad. Yeah, we can say that it's a big salad.
It's a salad in a blender.
But it's in a blended form, right? With another, I will say, the recipe of the energy soup has also Rejuvenac, which is antioxidant, and has dose, and it has some ingredients, but most that you put in the salad. Most of them you are able to put in the salad, but they are combined in certain way that gives you a very balanced food.
So you have enough proteins, carbohydrates, and fats right there. Yeah. It's a complete meal. For example, if you're coming from the dentist and you can't sit down and eat a salad, it's a complete meal in a blender.
And it's more complete. It's a whole food. In juices, you separate the juice from the fiber. And you have a tendency also to overdrink because you are drinking too much juices, which is not necessary for the body, too much sugar and stuff, because you lose the sense. You are not taking the whole food. When you take the whole food, the body, and chew, the body lets you know when you have to stop. And the magic in our case of the energy soup is that energy soup is easy to digest nourishment, also clean your body, keep your channels of elimination open, and the fiber is so important, the amount of fiber, because our body is designed to have fiber in order to work properly and have a good eliminations also.
So when you're juicing and you're drinking juice, doesn't it hits the cells quicker than when it's in a form that's digested a little bit slower with the energy soup? Is it like too much sugar rush?
Too much sugar
for
faster,
some people?
and some people really get dizzy and almost fainting
Too much
Because
beet
it's-
juice, definitely. I know,
exactly.
I've heard.
Too much sugar
Too
from
much
the
sugar.
system in the bloodstream. Some people say, Lalita, I cannot believe that I'm going to clean my body with energy soup with all the ingredients in the energy soup. I feel that I'm going to clean my body with juices or water. But what happened is, and Dr. Wigmore realized this, because at the beginning in her program, she incorporated more juices. And then she removed the juices. We don't have many juices in our institute.
So she did try juicing.
She tried
in the
juices at the beginning. If you try to clean your body with juices, you accelerate the process of detox. And then it's so rapidly that you compromise your own body. And then you can just develop serious conditions because you put in a very difficult situation, releasing rapidly all the toxins that we accumulate, that we cannot handle.
Now, many raw foodists are taking liver flushes and gallbladder flushes. How do you feel about that?
I really would like to be clear with this, because this is a principle of Dr. Wigmore. Anything that you do to your body has to be gentle. And soft, and don't accelerate the process. Look at what happened. If you try to clean your liver and you have a big stone and the stones are moving out, then you have to be in surgery because you block over there
you block the duct. Right.
And then you have to be in surgery right away. And I know, because a student shared with me, I was in India doing this liver cleansing, and then I had to go to the hospital and have a surgery. Then you have to be very, very careful. Everything
and with the gallbladder flushes, you can get pancreatitis also. If the stones
yes,
move
if the
too
stone
quickly.
move, because they are blocking also the pancreas.
Then
Then
the energy soup dissolves these things slowly over time?
yes, the energy soup is going to work. It's taking time, because nature is taking time. And then the body is going to go slowly into the detoxification process and balance, and nothing is rapidly.
So the body actually can break down kidney stones or gallbladder stones by itself over time?
By itself.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying that if you're a raw foodist, it's really not enough. You need to be a living foods raw foodist.
Yes, that is actually what we are saying.
So you're saying you're not getting enough nutrients just from the raw food.
I can remember saying to Dr. Ann when I first met her, I was in an audience, and I wasn't eating living foods, I was eating raw foods. And I remember holding my hand up, and I said, Dr. Ann, your program's not working for me. Like many people will say, Leola, we're doing this program and nothing is happening. I said, okay, let's see what you're doing. What are you eating? Well, I had a salad. I said, okay, are you drinking wheatgrass juice? Well, no, I just haven't had time, but I'm eating a salad. And then I said, what do you have for breakfast? Well, I eat some fruit. I said, okay, what about seed cheese, any kind of cultured, fermented? Well, no, I haven't had time for that. And I discovered when I first got into this, if I didn't have the culture, I didn't have the energy. The raw food alone did not give me what my body needed. But the fermentation is what the body needs, and I found that it really worked for me. And a lot of people love the cabbage Rejuvelac, and it's very, very easy to make.
And you have veggie kraut, which is kind of like sauerkraut, but there again it has all the good guys, the good bacteria for the digestion.
And they can also have just sauerkraut made our way and not put the vegetables in it. The beets, sometimes we put beets in it, sometimes we put carrots in it, and sometimes it's all cabbage. And it's amazing what food can do to itself and how that cabbage can begin to ferment.
And then you don't need to buy probiotics in a bottle because you're getting it all right there.
Absolutely. And it's so easy.
And the enzymes, again, I know you guys can't stress enough the importance of the sprouting and the greens for the enzymes and the nutrients to actually help digest your food. A lot of this is pre-digested, so you're not just eating protein, but you're eating amino acids. You're not eating fat, but it's the good fat that's broken down into essential fatty acids.
Also, soaking helps. If you're not sprouting, your nuts soak your nuts to break it down for easier digesting. That's another part of living foods because you're soaking some things and not necessarily sprouting them.
But at least it removes the inhibitors,
yes,
so that you can absorb the nutrients.
Especially
a lot of
almonds.
people don't realize this, but when you go to a health food store and you're buying nuts and eating them right from the health food store, there are little things called enzyme inhibitors in the nuts. And unless you soak them before, at least soak them.
Peel them, the almonds, please peel them. And once you taste a peeled almond, you'll never want to go back
They're delicious.
to. Yes, they are.
I want to ask you a little bit more about the enzymes, the importance of enzymes, and how they actually are the building blocks of the entire body.
Dr. Wigmore is talking about life force. And life force really are the enzymes. Mean that your body produces thousands and thousands and thousands of enzymes because your body is a laboratory with so many chemical reactions. And then we produce an amazing number of enzymes every day. And for each chemical reaction, you need an enzyme. That means that you need enzymes in your arteries, you need enzymes in your brain process, you need enzymes in your muscles, you need enzymes in your colon. It's not only digestive enzymes.
And also, if you're eating cooked foods, you have to use up your body's enzymes in order to digest them. Whereas if you're eating the sprouts and all this natural food in its natural state, it comes with the enzymes already in it.
Exactly. Because raw food, living food has enzymes. And in living food, we just create a pool of enzymes. And when we sprout also, we just bring the life into the seed. Why we say we bring the life? Because enzymes are working when you soak the seed. And the enzymes are really magic and very, very important for many, many different processes in the body.
Essential.
That they are incredibly important. And you have
it's better to get them in the food than in a bottle. The
yes,
extra
because
enzymes that
we
come
are
in the
again
bottle.
into the same principle. The enzymes in the bottle is not nature. We want the enzymes in the food. And then the body is going to receive properly, and the body still needs to produce enzymes, but doesn't need to overwork and get exhausted and tired.
Now, this is called the Ann Wigmore Natural Health Institute.
Absolutely.
And our natural state of being is healthy. It's only when we're in a state of dis-ease that we become diseased. Many people come here to heal themselves.
Absolutely.
And there are some amazing stories. What do they come here specifically? I know diabetes.
I have found that diabetes is the easiest for people because it's your diet. It's the food you eat. And sometimes the hardest problem with most people is staying on this program. But once they get on it, as a matter of fact, during the 2 weeks that they are here, their sugar level begins to decrease and they are feeling better.
So they don't need the insulin anymore.
Many people have come off insulin and the pills, yes. Hypertension, obesity, osteoporosis, just almost anything.
Arthritis.
Because the idea is if you cleanse the body of toxins and you start putting healthy food in one system, that there's a possibility it will bring a balance and rid the people of some of the things that are bothering them.
Well, I know specifically allergies are caused by a milk-based diet.
Yes.
And when I got rid of dairy in my diet, I didn't have hay fever anymore. And I don't have the congestion anymore at all.
All of these wonderful things, and you get a lot of bonuses when you start and when you're on this lifestyle. Young people come here with no illnesses, but what happens is they receive more energy. Energy comes from the sun. The sun kisses the food, causing the chlorophyll, the green color. Chlorophyll is oxygen. The body needs oxygen, and that's how we become energized. It's not just food alone. It's your total self that begins to heal. And I constantly tell my people when they come here, look inside of yourself. How are you thinking? How are you feeling? What are your thoughts? Are you setting yourself up? Are you sabotaging yourself? Write down your thoughts and see if you need to change them to a positive way of thinking.
I like to call this the higher chakra diet anyway. Because it is a spiritual diet, and when you're communing with yourself, you can take better care of yourself. Sometimes there's spontaneous crying, but most of the time I notice there's a lot of spontaneous laughter.
Oh, yes.
And we call it getting wiggy.
Yeah.
But that's what you come here for, is to have a good time also.
To have a good time, right.
It's really a good time.
And they're right by the ocean.
Oh, the beach.
And most people love the ocean.
Dr. Ann chose this site because of the healing of the ocean water.
Absolutely.
And when you get in the ocean and you have the salt on your skin, the toxins come right out through your pores.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the warmth. Warm weather is very healing instead of cold weather.
This is just a school.
This is a school.
What we are doing in the Wigmore Institute in Puerto Rico is provide the environment for you to do your process and discover that you are unique and nobody knows you better than yourself.
Well, it is actually a lifestyle, and when you come here, you're a student for 2 weeks, and you receive this textbook, and there's so many classes and so much information in here, and you really learn how to take all of this with you.
Yes.
You get all the tools right here in the classes to go home and practice this lifestyle on your own. I notice that it's just about time for dessert class, and we don't want to miss that. So I'd like to thank both of you so much for your time this afternoon, because I know how very busy you are running things around here.
Wheatgrass is the only known plant that absorbs all 92 elements on the periodic table.
One could write an entire book just on the benefits, the values of wheatgrass juice, and the number of different ways that it can be used in our system. One of the important things for us to really think about, because we think about all the benefits that it has, all the things that it can do in terms of helping illness or infection or smoothing out skin, all of these things, but the important thing to remember is that it's not a medicine. It's very easy to think of it that way, but the wheatgrass is a food, and the benefit that it gives to us is because of the intense nutritional value that it provides to our body, either systemically when I drink it, when I use it as an implant, or topically if I put it on my skin, or if I use it to heal a wound, or something like this, or a burn. So whichever way it's working, it's a result of the nutrition that it provides. And what it has in it, it has all of the essential amino acids, right, those 8 that our body can't synthesize on its own, as well as a large number of other amino acids, which means that it gives us all the building blocks of the proteins that our body needs to be able to build to execute all of its functions. It also is very rich in enzymes, which helps our body to create all of its metabolic functions, to be able to digest our foods, all of the very critical functions that the enzymes catalyze and are able to give us energy for. It also is very rich in minerals and in vitamins. It's got tons of different minerals in it, all the important ones that our body needs, and 75 or more other trace minerals, all of which can be used for our body to get the maximum nutrition out of the foods that we're eating and to rebuild itself and to cleanse. Chlorophyll is so important, and wheatgrass actually contains almost 70% chlorophyll. It's almost entirely chlorophyll. There are 2 important things about chlorophyll. One is really the fact that it's the closest form of energy to the sun. Right? It takes in that sunlight and is able to process it in a way that no other substance is able to do. So the chlorophyll is helpful to us that way in bringing us at that life energy. It's also very important in the sense that it actually, the molecules in it are very similar to the molecules of hemoglobin. One of the biggest problems that we encounter these days is that people are not sufficiently oxygenated, and that creates all kinds of problems in the system. In fact, there's been research done with regard to cancer, and that cancer can't live in a highly oxygenated environment. So when we create plenty of oxygen in our systems, then the cancers aren't able to grow. A lot of the diseases that we face aren't really able to take root in our bodies. So the wheatgrass is very beneficial with this, and the chlorophyll is a main component of why the wheatgrass has this power. During our 2-week cleanse, one of the main things that we recommend to our students to do is to do an enema each day to help that cleansing process and make sure that the toxins our body are releasing are able to come out through the eliminatory channels. After each of those enemas, we recommend that people use an implant with wheatgrass juice of just a couple of ounces. There are 4 main reasons why we recommend that people do this. The first being the nutrition that wheatgrass provides for the colon and through the colon the rest of our body. Another reason is the nutrition that it provides to the liver. It gets picked up through the hepatic portal vein, carried directly to the liver in a way that provides the liver nutrition and helps to stimulate it to release toxicity, much the way that people like to use coffee enemas, which of course we don't recommend here. Another reason why we like to do that is because it's a great magnet for mucus. It absolutely pulls all of the old and new mucus that comes from eating the bad foods that so many people eat, pulls that right out of the colon. And then the last is the fact that it replaces the electrolytes in our system that often can be lost with an imbalanced diet or by using the process of enemas and colonics.
But I'm going to recommend you to drink wheatgrass juice just in a wise way. Wheatgrass juice is good for me, and then you go and drink a lot. And then you're, oh, so sick, of course, because wheatgrass juice is cleaning you so fast. Then start with 1 ounce, see how you feel, increase the wheatgrass juice slowly. Maybe you said, okay, I'm doing good with 1 ounce for 2 days. I'm going to increase maybe another ounce, but not at the same time. Maybe you drink 1 ounce in the morning, 1 ounce later on.
There are 2 kinds of enzymes in our bodies, both of which are absolutely critical. What enzymes are is they're catalysts, basically for every single reaction that takes place in our body. Everything from creating a blood cell to regenerating a liver cell to being able to take a breath, being able to blink my eyes, everything comes from the activity of enzymes. We have metabolic enzymes and we have digestive enzymes. Metabolic enzymes are active all throughout our bodies, and there are thousands of different ones, each with a very specific function. The digestive enzymes are more limited, but also very important. They're secreted in our saliva to break down our carbohydrates. They're secreted in our stomach to break down our proteins, secreted in our small intestine to finish the digestion of all 3 of these types of foods, and also then to fully digest the fats that we eat. A lot of research that's been done on enzymes really do emphasize the importance of it, and indeed one researcher even said that life doesn't exist without them. That's really very true. And an important thing with the living foods lifestyle is that everything we eat is full of enzymes, so that we don't need to always use the very limited amounts that our body is able to make. With all of our sprouts, or with our wheatgrass, our energy soup, everything is full of enzymes that then enable digestion of the foods that we're taking in. So one of the big differences actually between raw foods and living foods is the enzyme content in them. I can be eating raw almonds, for instance, right? No treatment, no heating or anything, but they're coated with these enzyme inhibitors, right, which mean that I can't access the enzymes that are inside of that, and then I'm not able to use that or really able to take the nutrients from that nut. And indeed, it makes it very, very difficult for my body to break down or to digest. In contrast, when I create a living food out of that almond or that nut or seed, then what I'm doing is I'm releasing the enzymes that are already in there and a lot of the nutrients as well by washing away those enzyme inhibitors. Sprouting is an absolutely critical aspect of the living foods lifestyle, and it's one of the things that we do that really gives life to the foods that we eat. When we sprout, what we do is we're eliminating the enzyme inhibitors that are surrounding these nuts and these seeds. And these seeds are the grains as well as the things that we use to make our salad sprouts. It can be alfalfa, they can be chickpeas, they can be broccoli, they can be fenugreek. All of these different sprouts can be so helpful. They carry lots of great proteins in them, lots of amino acids, lots of vitamins and minerals. They don't carry in their unsprouted form. What also they have is when we sprout them, it releases or unlocks the power of all the enzymes in these foods. These being the food enzymes that allow us to digest those foods as we eat them. Basically almost pre-digesting them before we put them into our systems. The ones that are stronger in carbohydrates are going to have amylase in them, they're going to have protease, they're going to have maltase. The process of changing these as the process of sprouting occurs is what allows us to take them in a living and an easily assimilable fashion.
There's also enzymes in our body, and our body enzymes need assistance from the food enzymes. Otherwise, you are going to wear your enzymes out. And if you eat cooked foods, cooked, prepared, processed foods, you are going to use your body enzymes faster because you get no assistance from the food.
It's important that the diet that we're eating, that the food we're taking in, provides a much greater alkaline ash than an acidic ash in our system. While there are parts of our system, like our stomachs, that need to have a more acidic state, the majority of our system, our overall pH, needs to be alkaline. What happens otherwise is a lot of the functions that need to take place, a lot of the enzymes that need to be activated in order for different metabolic or digestive functions to take place aren't able to function, and so those functions then aren't actually happening. So those enzymes then aren't able to be activated. So it's important that we remain alkaline and that we keep our system at a strong pH. Some of the really strong alkaline-forming foods include all of our greens, all of our living fruits and vegetables, the sprouts, the wheatgrass juice, all of these things, even our fermented foods, are going to be alkaline-forming or alkaline ash foods, and will help keep our system in a good pH balance. There are some combinations that can work very well and allow us to use all of our nutrients and to adapt those things very easily in our body, and others that, just absolutely wreak havoc. The greens are indeed quite universal and mix with just about everything that we might be eating. What we want to be very careful of is not mixing the dense proteins with our starches, not mixing proteins or starches with our fruits, and really not even mixing the sweet and the more acidic fruits together. We don't want to be eating fruits at the end of our meals. A lot of people think that that's a good dessert, especially a nice healthy one. Instead of having the cheesecake, I'll have the fruit salad. But it actually is a great mistake. What happens then is that the fruit stays in the stomach much longer than it needs to, and it begins to ferment and create toxicity already in our system. One last thing that we want to keep in mind is the idea of drinking with our meals. A lot of people do this. We really want to be careful not to. Whenever we drink water or anything else with our meal, what we're doing is diluting the enzymes that we would normally be using to digest.
Dessert can be a meal in itself, but before indulging, be sure to check out the class on the glycemic index of foods and how sugar can cause candida, hypoglycemia, and many other ailments.
Sprout is something very, very important. You are going to remember that you are not going to put any seed in your mouth if you do not soak a sprout. And you are going to have a class about a sprout, but I want to tell you something. Whatever you put in your mouth and is not soaked in a sprout is acid forming, it's mucus forming, it's difficult to digest. All the nutrients inside of the seed are bounding together. They are not available for the body to really use. That means that when you take something that is not a sprout, you take more waste than nutrients.
There are two ways that are very convenient to sprout. You can do the jar method by putting your seeds into a jar. Also, you need with the jar is you need some type of screening and some kind of an elastic band to hold them. And say we were sprouting lentil sprouts. We can put, say you want to put a half a cup into a jar, like this, and you would fill it with water, maybe double the amount of water. Whatever the amount of seed is, you can double it in water. Cover it over with your screen and secure it, and just let it sit for 6 to 8 hours in the water. And what is happening at this time is that the enzyme inhibitors are going to be released. After that is soaked, we actually discard the water, and we never drink the water because it has enzyme inhibitors in it. And then we gently fill up the jar with water, shake it around to wash them, and tilt it again to discard the water. And the idea is that you want them moist. So we're going to keep them moist on a 45-degree angle by your sink on the side, and just holding them like this. And then 3 times a day, you're going to take the jar, you're going to fill it very gently with water and shake it and make sure they're very moist, and then tilt it again and put it on the side. You will do this for 2 to 4 days, or how long it takes to sprout. When they are ready to harvest, You need to dry them. You can't just put a wet, soggy bag of sprouts in your refrigerator. You need to keep them hung so that they dry, fairly dry, so that you can then put them in a Tupperware container or another container and maybe line it with paper towels so that the moisture doesn't get them moldy. And sometimes when we're sprouting things, we sprout them even in the refrigerator, like almonds. If almonds have to take 2 days even to sit in the water, we sometimes put them in the refrigerator. It's a food grade hydrogen peroxide, 35%. You just use 1 or 2 drops in a bowl of water and just swish your sprouts in there, and it will kill any of the mold or mildew that is on the sprout. And just harvest your sprout gently and throw away the water. You know, there are green peas and lentils for our beans, daikon radish.
Is that an interesting one, daikon radish?
Yes, it is.
It produces greens for salad?
Yes, it does. These are salad greens. Red clover would be excellent as well. Fenugreek, you could do fenugreek both ways. It could be with or without the green leaf. Some just do the tail. And then this one is just regular radish and lentils over here. Once you put it into your bag or your jar, we're going to go over to the sink, and I would like you to, we're going to wash them in the water, and then we're going to place them in another bowl full of water, and they're going to stay in there for the allotted time that they're meant to have. So if anybody wants to do 2 projects, that will be fine as well.
Oh, you guys want to do 2?
Yeah. Bring it over here to the sink and wash them. At this point, the students are soaking their grains and their beans for the allotted time that each one is needed. Some are 8 hours, some are 4 hours, some are 12 hours, and they're going to be soaking them at this time, and then at that point they're going to lift them out of the water and hang them onto the rack and allow them to drain out. Let's pretend 8 hours has passed. We're going to place them in here and gently move them around and wash them in clean water like this. Very, very gently. We never want to take them over here and run the water on them. It's too aggressive and they will break apart and they will not sprout. We don't want to wash them in here because there's a lot of inhibitors here. So we use fresh water, and then we're going to take it, we're going to wrap our string around like this, and we're going to tie a knot. And we're just going to keep it like this with a bowl underneath and allowing them to drain like this.
Here we have fenugreek. You can see the nice long tail. Peas. Some radish sprouts. Little tails starting. Some more radish sprouts over here. And over here we have some lentils. Look at the nice long tails on those lentils. They're just about ready for harvest. The mainstay of this whole program is actually the energy soup. That was Dr. Ann's main blended dish.
Energy soup is easy to digest nourishment, also clean your body, keep your channels of elimination open.
Dr. Ann always says you cannot buy energy in a bottle. Energy comes from greens.
Energy soup is very powerful. It's like a brush that is going to go into your body and brush, really, really intense your whole body and really give the nutritional value, the nutrients that you need to keep function in a balanced way. In one bowl of energy soup, how many salads do you have? Thick amount of greens. It's more than one plate of greens. And then in one plate, in one bowl of energy soup, you have a very healthy fiber. And this is what we need, a lot of healthy fiber to move that colon, to really feel empty, the body working like a choo-choo train. I always say like a choo-choo train. Not get stuck stuff into your body, into your organs.
So what happens is that your body now is going to be in a mode for detoxing, even with the soup. Now there are very extensive, aggressive ways to detox the body, but this is a very gentle way, and you'll be detoxing slowly. You're not going to get massive headaches or feel extremely tired or shaky or anything like that. You're just going to slowly detox. So that's the beauty of this food and this diet, is that you're going to be nourished at the same time, cleansing your organs, cleansing your elimination. If you have constipation or diarrhea or any of the bowel syndrome disorders, they will be correcting itself naturally. We talked about all the ingredients, the greens, the sprouts, the seaweed, and the Rejuvelac. It's high in your vitamin B's, your E. It's higher in C than orange juice. It has friendly bacteria, so those people who are thinking they need good flora, which we all do, it's high in friendly bacteria and high in enzymes. It helps to prevent oxidation in our foods. And so when we make our energy soup, then we tell you, you can keep your energy soup for 24 hours. And the optional ingredient that we do use is we use a cup of vegetable, whether it be carrots or beets. And today I saw they had pumpkin. This is the pumpkin that they have here in Puerto Rico. If you ever could find this in the States, it's wonderful. It's called calabaza. Dr. Ann said, you don't need supplements. You can come here, leave your supplements home. This is so packed with nutrition that you can take this in and not worry about where are you getting your calcium, where are you getting your protein.
And Wigmore said, main causes for all diseases are poor assimilation and poor elimination, which cause deficiency and toxicity. Why we are so stuck, human beings, with so many conditions, and colon condition, and constipation, and allergies, is because we don't have enough fiber. The digestion process is chew, have more enzymes, use the enzymes that the body produces, digest properly, relax during the time that you are eating, the food is moving through your system, and you must have a good digestion, a good assimilation, and then a good elimination.
There are a lot of mucus-forming foods in the standard American diet, definitely something we want to be looking out for. They include, first and foremost, the dairy products. They are the most mucus-forming foods that there are. Also, any animal products, meat, fish, eggs, all of these things also create mucus in our system. Another thing that was a particularly difficult one for a lot of people are the breads that we eat, and those too create a lot of mucus. Another thing to think about, actually, especially with the breads that we eat, is what they're made of, right? Because these mucus-forming foods get stuck in our colon and really form a rock, basically, right? These layers of things that get stuck there inside our colon wall. This is a man. This is a picture or drawing done after an autopsy, okay, with this fellow. And what we see here is, look at how irregular the shape of this colon is. And look at that again in comparison to this large intestine we saw at the beginning of class. Look at how irregular that is. We're seeing this pointed area at the end of the cecum, which often is a sign of worm infestation. We see all these irregularities here, where normally they should be these nice rounded segments of muscle in the colon. We see here, what, a stricture. Okay, well actually a spastic area and a stricture here. Again, we've got a little bit of a balloon here. We've got a very significant spastic area here. And we've got an expanded area here again. Okay, but again, all of this is so irregular. And here's the most dramatic thing. See all of this black material here? And see that tiny little white spot in the center? That tiny white spot is the entire width of open space in the colon for this fellow's waste material to move through. So think of what's going on inside of him. Nothing's even moving, right? And what they did is with the autopsy, they scraped off parts of this, this old black material, and they tested it and found that it was 20 years old. So these things had been sitting in this gentleman's colon for 20 years. Okay? So whatever he died from, what was the cause? Toxicity as a result of an incredibly impacted colon. Everything from arthritis to cancer, any of these things, Alzheimer's, all of which are a result of toxicity in the system. When the waste material gets stuck in the colon, right, my fecal matter gets stuck, then what's happening is it begins to rot. And so that creates greater toxicity. And one of the colon's jobs is to reabsorb water from the fecal matter and then to recirculate that. So as this becomes toxic, the molecules of that toxicity are intermingling with the water molecules and get reabsorbed through the colon wall. So the waste material, the fecal matter, is still there, but the toxicity from that is getting absorbed with the water, and then that recirculates through the body. No. And what you'll find is with the living foods, that the fiber in all of those foods that we eat acts like a brush and actually just clean out those colon walls. What you're looking at here is the mucosal lining of people's colons, and also a lot of the very old debris that's been sitting there as a result of not eliminating regularly. Also done studies and autopsies where they've tested the age of the material stuck in people's colons and found it to be 20, 30, 40 years old. One of our favorite stories as colon therapists is the story about John Wayne, and when he passed away and they did an autopsy, and what they found was 40 pounds of fecal matter stuck inside that man's colon when he died. Another amazing situation that we had happen here at the Institute was a lady who came for the 2-week program. She was about 50 years old, and she'd been a smoker for about 15 years and had quit 3 years before she came to the Institute. She did the program here. She was doing her enemas each night. She was eating with the lifestyle and doing everything with the program. And on the very last day that she was here, at the end of the 2 weeks, she did her enema, and the entire bathroom smelled of nicotine. It took that long for her body just to begin releasing all of that toxic material. The bacteria, the good bacteria that are contained in the Rejuvenac and also in the fermented foods, the veggie krauts that we eat as well, are very, very beneficial. They help to re-implant the good flora in the system and then also provide food for those good flora so that they can then balance out that population, because we're looking for sort of an 80-20 balance really between the good flora and the bad flora in our intestines. Because really when you're cleansing your colon, you are cleansing on a physical level and on other levels as well. People find a lot of emotional cleansing and a lot of spiritual cleansing also when they're releasing.
It's important to have our colon cleansed because we're able to fight off disease, we're able to build our immune system, we're able to absorb nutrients from our wonderful food that we're eating. And it's very simple. When we clean our colon, we're unpolluting our body and we're allowing for ourselves to absorb the nutrients within all the foods that we're eating. So our emphasis is on eating whole foods and on keeping the body nice and cleansed. You actually teach a class on chewing, how to chew your food.
What they're doing is going within themselves and they're sensing and feeling something that's of a higher order than they've ever felt before. It was just amazing what happened today. I had my eating technique class, and every time I have it, the people are discovering more and more about the benefits and how they connect with Mother Nature with the food.
It's almost like a meditation.
It's like a meditation. Why do we want you to take time chewing? Because there are enzymes in your saliva. And the saliva doesn't collect in the mouth until you begin to chew, chew, chew. The mechanical blending was done by the blender. And now you are doing the chemical changing. You are chemically breaking it down. We eat a lot more food because we are not chewing it well enough so that we can get the nutrients from it. When you put the food in your mouth, put the spoon down and make love to that food. Close your eyes and just chew, chew, chew. he could just see all the little enzymes coming out. So happy that it has an opportunity to come out and do the work for you that it was supposed to do. You can use affirmations. Everything I eat brings health and harmony in me. Everything I eat brings health and harmony in me. And just learn to relax. Just relax. This is the time to relax the body. Are you as hungry as you normally are, or do you find that your body is getting the nutrients more efficiently? I'm going to read something to you from Gabriel Cousens' Conscious Eating. A primary ongoing way that we all consciously or unconsciously relate to nature is through our food. Eating is an intimate way to extract life-sustaining energy from Mother Nature. In the process of digestive assimilation, the food as part of Mother Nature gives up its identity and takes on the identity of the one who has ingested it. We are actually assimilating the forces of nature. I just love that, what Gabriel Cousens says about communing with everybody, the sun, and the people that plant and grow it. How wonderful it is. And here you are sitting here and taking in all of this. And what does this tell you? That we are all one. That's what it goes back to. And you're going to see this connection. We are all one.
Getting in touch with your deeper levels of consciousness is also experienced through creative healing, breathing, meditation, and communication classes.
In our self-esteem class, our self-evaluation class, we're talking about the kind of negative tapes that can play in our head. You know, that we talk to ourselves in very negative ways, or talk about other people in our environment or in our experience in a very negative way. And we can hear that dialogue occurring in our heads. We can hear the critics from our past criticizing us. We can be living in a very negative, afflictive, emotional state. What we can do with our meditation is actually try to clear that dialogue, or clear that auditory track that's going on in our heads. Try and remove that and get to a quiet, healing place.
The cutting-edge curriculum also includes organic methods for skincare and body brushing. Gardening techniques in the greenhouses. Here in the organic garden, they have tomatoes, purslane, basil, lettuce, arugula. You can pick your own salad for lunch. There's even a class on methods for traveling and how to keep your indoor gardening growing along.
So some of the things that we can do when we travel is we can actually grow our sprouts as we go. And it's not actually that difficult to do at all. All you need to do is you need to take with you on your trip a few bags, right? 3 to 5 bags. I always kind of take 5. Like if you're in a hotel, I've used the mirror as someplace where I hang my bags and let them drip over the counter or over my plate. I've used the back of a desk chair and like hung all my different sprout bags along the back of the chair and let them drip onto the trays or onto a towel. The cleaning staff probably think I'm crazy, but that's okay. Right? You can use the edge of a desk, any place that, you know, where you can just hang your bag, you can go ahead and do that, right? And then you can just buy some water, or if you've got a traveling filtered system, then you can make it that way. But it's easier usually to buy it so that you have your filtered water to clean your sprouts with. A great thing to take when you travel, and this is my favorite little doodad ever, is it's a mini blender. And this has been, I thought this was going to be silly, and I thought, what a pain to travel with this and all. But it's amazing. And they're very powerful, actually, in that you can blend flax with it, which is really, hard, and some blenders don't like to break up the flax. You can break nuts with it. You can put kale in it, and it grinds it right up. So it's really good. And it's easy to pack, right, because it's just like a little wand, and you can just stick it in the side of your suitcase.
In just 2 weeks, students learn how to do everything right at home. Let's check out the recipe class.
Another thing that I want to say to you, besides the sprouting, besides blending, right, we also use culturing. Culturing means that we are going to prepare Rejuvelac, we are going to prepare fermented cheese, yogurt, and in order to give to the body friendly flora also. When you ferment the food, during the fermentation, the food is easier to digest and you have plenty flora that the body needs.
Have you heard or been drinking any of the Rejuvelac? This is the fermented beverage that is made with the grains of wheat or rye or both and water, and allowed to, the grains ferment, they sprout, the water gets placed over them, and they're allowed to sit for so many days, and this is the drink. This drink, all the nourishment of that seed is now in here. All the ingredients, which now are pre-digested, are into the drink.
Rejuvelac is a major component of many raw living food recipes. It can be made from sprouted and fermented wheat berries, or here, Louise teaches a class on how to simply make it from a cabbage.
So with cabbage Rejuvelac, we're dealing with the cabbage, and should be organic, fresh as possible, and organic, and filtered water, and you could also use distilled water. I just suggest that you don't use, of course, the tap water because it has chlorine in it, and the chlorine will destroy the bacteria. And I'm just going to cut it down straight, and then I'm going to chunk it into small pieces. It's all going to be blended, so it really doesn't matter. It depends on your blender, on the size of the chunks, because if you don't have a blender that is so forceful, you're going to have to make them into smaller pieces. But for the Vitamix, it works really well. In your book, it says to take about 3 cups of cabbage, and you put about 1.5 cups of water to it and blend it. It's very hard to do that here because to measure, we do it in quantity and we have to do things fast. So what I found, and I'm just showing you my method, is to fill a container full of cabbage, like that, and add your filtered water to about 2/3 or 3/4 of the amount of material. So in it goes. Can you all see it coming up from where you are? Okay. We pretty much liquefied the cabbage with the water, and now we're going to place it into a vessel, a container. I really prefer glass or, say, a crock material. You can use stainless steel. I'm just telling you, I think plastic may be the only thing I'm going to say don't use because it'll interfere. And you're just going to pour it in there as it's going in here.
Pretty.
It is. It's pretty. And you can use red cabbage as well as the green cabbage. And then we need to cover this with either a cheesecloth or some kind of screening or netting. And I found that one of the best things actually were these little hats, the nets that we're using. So I put that on there, and I always date it. I get a piece of tape, because you'd be surprised, even though you know what today's date is, but in 3 days you're going to say, was that 1 day or 2 days? Now 3 days later, we've arrived. We're ready to harvest it. I have to taste it to see whether it needs another day, because even though we say 3 days, I don't know the climate where you are, and it could take maybe 1 day longer if it's a cooler climate. Like sauerkraut. You know how in sauerkraut, sometimes it takes 6 or 7 days. So this is what it's looking like after 3 days. So we're going to pour it in this bag. Okay. I think we could actually pour that whole thing. Because we're dealing with a bacteria, and even though I know my hands are clean, I still think for this procedure, and I do this for the kitchen, I wear these gloves just to make sure that we're dealing with something sterile here. I don't know how sterile they are. What we're going to do is just squeeze. You see how I'm just squeezing out the liquid? And then people say, well, I want to consume the fiber here. I want to consume the cabbage, but there's no need to do that. We actually compost the material here. The nutrients are now all in the liquid, plus all these are pre-digested nutrients. All the proteins, the vitamins, the minerals have been broken down by this high enzymatic process. So you're drinking the pre-digested nutrients along with the flora and along with the enzymes. But the sauerkraut juice, we're suggesting that you drink it prior to your meal. We can't repeat it enough that we're working through to increase our digestive capacity, to increase our enzyme capacity, because these are the things that are actually going to turn around all your conditions that you think maybe we're not addressing, but it all starts right here in the kitchen with the good foods and the good digestive ability to nourish, at the same time cleanse the toxic residues from our body.
It's very good and it's delicious. It's wonderful taste, it's sour, and it's good for you.
This is delicious, and I can feel it stimulating my appetite and making me feel good. It's really good.
Seed, cheese, and yogurt can be made from soaked and sprouted sunflower or pumpkin seeds. A byproduct of the seed cheese is yummy seed milk. Both are set out to ferment, that is, to pre-digest, for several hours. Fermented foods should be eaten daily, and seed cheese or yogurt is a great addition to your energy soup. Blend 2 parts filtered water or Rejuvelac to 1 part of seeds. For yogurt, blend equal amounts of each.
They have to be very fine. You can feel like a cream. You can come here to check. So you feel like a cream, that way, creamy. This is the yogurt. And I use this material to pour in here. I use like that. And you keep it this way in the jar to fermenting for 3 hours. Seed cheese, you use in the sprout bag for cheese. Yogurt, you use in the jar. See, you keep it for 3 hours fermenting. But if you like more fermenting, you can ferment it for 8 hours. This is the milk, and you can drink that milk. After 3 hours, you remove from the sprout bag, and you put it in the plastic container to put it in the fridge. And you can keep it for 1 week in the fridge.
Welcome to our almond pate class. And we have just assembled the champion juicer. We put the blank in here so that we can have all the material coming out in one form into the bowl, and then we'll shape it and we're going to ferment it before we eat it. And we talked about some of the ingredients. There are basic ingredients and then there are optional ingredients. The basic ingredients are the almonds, of course, carrots, Rejuvilac, basil, we have dulse, and buckwheat. Those are the basic ingredients that we use every time. Then at some point, whatever's we're harvesting from the garden, we can add different seasonings and different vegetables. And today we are using red pepper, scallions, the tops of celery, and some ginger. The ginger really will bring out the flavor very nicely. And here they are. And also there's lemon and lime if we want to. We can taste it and see if we want to add a little bit of lemon or lime to it. The first thing we'll do is run the almonds through with the Rejuvilac. Now, why we use the Rejuvilac? For one, because of the fermenting quality. We're going to have this fermenting a little bit so it's more digestible. And when you push down, push all the way till you hit the bottom, and then lift up again. When that pate seems like it's really dry and it's laboring, would you put a little bit of the Rejuvilac in?
A raw living food salad dressing still needs some sort of fat content. You'll learn to experiment with recipes that substitute almonds or avocados instead of olive oil. Season with fresh herbs and enjoy.
I want to make this dressing. I want to start with the tomato. I want to add the chives, scallion. I want to add the pepper. I want to add oregano. Like this amount. Oregano. And I want to add little bit basil.
Since traditional cooking kills and destroys enzymes and nutrients, your living food will heat in a dehydrator at no more than 118 degrees. Leftover energy soup, seed cheese, sauces, and dressings become tomorrow's crackers, rollies, and pizza. Protein nuggets and other yummy snacks are great for the movies or traveling.
You can make a pizza today. I have green onions. I have red pepper, tomato, and sunflower seed cheese. I feel like to use like a dry spice. I have cumin, I have those oregano and dill. I want to show you how they look after you dehydrate. I have the NG soup here. See? And you can make rollies with energy soup. You're going to have class tomorrow, and you're going to rollies in energy soup, okay? See how the energy soup? Yes. Or if you don't like to have banana, you can use avocado. And I have this cracker they make with soft wheat. This cracker is for you for lunch. To put the guacamole. They're going to make guacamole, and you put it in the crackers. To make energy soup that way, I put 2 layers. 2. And if you like to make like a little cracker, you can make little crackers like that. See? With the energy soup. This is soft wheat blend. They have beets. I blend with the jubila. And they have chive and pepper. You can make a small pizza. For the pizza, I use sunflower cheese. You have to add oregano. If you don't add oregano, they don't smell like a real pizza. I have chive. And you can add a little bit pepper. Like that. Wow. Easy.
It's gonna be so yummy. I'm so excited about this. I really am.
Dehydrated energy soup makes a neat little sandwich when you turn it into a rollie. Simply fold in the edges and you've got a complete meal to go. The Wigmore alumni like to sit in on dessert class. Here Louise shares a favorite recipe for raw apple pie with gourmet touches right down to the orange and lime zest. For proper food combining, remember that dessert is really a meal in itself.
Almonds and dates, cinnamon, ginger if we so desire to put that into the crust, and a little bit of vanilla. We also use the zest of oranges and lemons. So you just, dip it into the water, scrub it well, and just, can you see the difference, like right there? How amazing they come. So we're not going to use the juice of the oranges and the lemons. We're only going to use the zest. Making zest, what you want to do is you're just using the outer skin. You don't really want to get too far into it because it gets bitter underneath that original skin. So you're giving a few, and you turn, just a few scrapes and turn. And then for the apple, what we do here is and you've seen these apple cores, this works really nice too. You just put it down the center, okay, and just push down and pull it through. Remove the core, and then you have these apple pieces. We'll compost the cores, and we do peel all our apples and throw the core away. We'll make this, and actually then after all the apples are done, we're going to put them through the food processor using the blade, this blade. So this is how, and we'll turn it this way because we're gonna shred it. We're gonna shred the apples, and we're gonna pack it down into the pie. So the dates, the almond puree, the lemon zest, cinnamon, apples, we're going to just pack it on top of the crust, and we're going to decorate the pie and refrigerate it for a couple of hours. So we have everyone, we can get up. You have your cats, and we could start working.
On our way to the beach, we thought we'd stop at Hedda's house. Hedda lives in Rincon and invites all the students to come over and see how easy it is to set up a perfect living foods lifestyle right at home. Come on in. Hi, Hedda.
Hi, nice to see you.
Good to see you again.
Okay, come on in so I can give you
Great,
a
this
tour.
is going to be good. Hedda, you're quite an athlete, and I understand that you're in training right now.
I really am, and I train very, very hard, and it is just amazing, you know, with the strength and how powerful I am, and I'm doing that all on raw food, on live food.
You're 100% raw live,
100%.
living foods, and you're practicing it right here at home.
I sure do.
I see now here you have your wheatgrass trays. Tell us about how you schedule your time so that you always have fresh, wonderful wheatgrass.
The wheatgrass, it's basically a routine. Every evening I would start soaking one patch, and so every morning it is planted, and it is just a continuation.
So here you have the babies.
This is actually the one which I planted today. Then this is the one 1 day old, and this is the one 2 day old, and so it goes continuously. We use a whole tray every day.
You and your husband?
Me and my husband.
And over here you have the other babies.
And those are sunflower sprouts. And yesterday I harvested the buckwheat sprouts. So they are already in the refrigerator.
So every day you're making energy soup.
I make energy soup, salads, all kinds of vegetables, and usually also combined with a salad. I don't feel deprived of any food. I tell you, this is like ice cream. This is cocoa with cocoa meat and cocoa water.
You've come up with some really wonderful recipes on your own.
You learn that, you collect, you know, you gather a few good books, recipe books, and then you just write the recipes which you like, you repeat, and sometimes you change them a little bit. And also, you know, the fruits are just absolutely amazing and rewarding. And it's like, I'll fix some of the fruit mixtures. One is called blueberry supreme or strawberry souffle, and you know, you don't believe how good it is. Every time we are just overjoyed. Those are the wheat berries, and they've been soaking, and now they are sprouting. And this is what they look like. And continuously every evening will be another cup set up for soaking. And then the next day for sprouting.
Here we have some Rejuvilac. You can see, oh yeah, look at the bubbling.
Yeah, very much alive. This is sesame for sesame milk.
Sesame milk.
And then I mix it with papayas, and it is so good. Every morning we are basically addicted to that drink. Well, those are just buckwheat sprouts.
These are the babies before they're
Before, they need to be soaked this evening again.
Let's take a look at your composting. Everyone
Okay.
is so worried about how do I do this at home,
How do
the
I go about it?
composting.
Yeah.
So I see you have a really good system here.
Well, the composting, you start by, of course, collecting all the kitchen scraps, the vegetables, fruits, all that goes in a different pail. I'm always really organized and set up. So my garden shoes, my garden gloves I need for that. Emptying the cut sprouts or wheatgrass, pack it nicely down so that the sprouts cannot regrow. And I add a few leaves. And maybe 1 or 2 shovels of earth. And so that keeps it well together. I use the earth to cover up. And the reason for covering up is you will not have no odor. Once you cover it, it just sits there and it digests until it is done. And I leave that for 8 weeks before I even open the trash can. So by that time, it is well digested.
What about worms?
I do have worms. When you feed them well with organic, vegetables and kitchen scraps,
they multiply.
They multiply and they love it. And I use this as to sift it. So all the parts which hasn't been totally digested will be separated. I collect that in another trash can, and the complete fresh earth looks like this when it's finished.
And this is what you'll use?
This is what I use
for the trays.
For the trays. And you add 2 pitchers, and you refill your trays and have them ready for planting for the next day.
Then you take the wheat berries, you take the sunflower seeds, the buckwheat, and you plant them here.
And plant them in those trays. Everything is always just in that tray like that.
Hedda, how many hours per day do you spend setting up the Living Foods program here?
Actually, I would say it does take a little time in the morning. I would say maybe 15 minutes in the garden watering. If you need to plant 2 or 3, it takes maybe 20 minutes to 45 minutes. But then it grows by itself. All you have to do is come back in the evening and water it again. And remember, you need to think 5 days ahead of time, because you're not reaching for a box to open. You are actually planning your living food, and it takes 5 days from the planting to the growing. So you need to plan ahead. But once you get a grip on that, it's really easy, and there's no way I would go back to cooking, because it's so simple. All you need is a very good blender, a food processor, and a juicer, and that's it basically. You're mixing and chopping and blending, and that's all it takes. If people could trust, the nature's food, that they are more nourishing than the dead cooked foods.
Yes.
It is amazing how much more energy you can generate, because first of all, foods are easier to digest because they are natural, and you have more energy for performance.
How many miles do you run on this diet?
On this diet, sometimes up to 22.
That's amazing. Hedda, how much does it cost to do this? Isn't it less than going to a supermarket?
Basically, it is cheaper than when you have meat. Instead of meat, I invest in fruits, but it is way simpler and it is more reasonable.
And more nourishment.
More nourishment.
How long did it take to set up the composting and the Living Foods kitchen?
I would say I worked on that for maybe 6 to 8 weeks until we were totally complete.
Well, you are an incredible inspiration for all of us, and I can't thank you enough for opening your home to see how she sets up her household with Living Foods.
Right.
Thank you.
You're
all right,
very welcome.
We're going to head out to the beach now, so I'm going to say goodbye.
Okay.
And we'll catch you in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Is the author of Hooked on Raw, and she's down here in sunny Puerto Rico. Thanks so much for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Would I miss coming to the Ann Wigmore Institute with this gorgeous ocean in background?
It's just beautiful. We've had great weather for the past few days.
That's right.
And we've been busy in the kitchen, as you can see.
That's for sure.
What are we looking at here?
This is a mock tuna made out of walnuts and carrots and some herbs. This is a pizza.
Now tell us about the crust.
The crust is made out of an almond flour with flaxseed and some herbs also to flavor it. It has a ricotta cheese topping, and then on top of that we've got little minced vegetables and avocado with dried tomatoes and everything that you would normally get in a normal pizza. Or a conventional pizza, let's say.
It's interesting because so many people think that when you're going on a raw, live diet, they would say, what are we going to eat? Nuts and sprouts? How boring. But there's an amazing number of variations and combinations and the natural flavors. It's quite satisfying.
It's wonderful. You can sort of duplicate flavors that people are accustomed to with the raw cuisine.
The fudge.
That's the fudge.
I like to call this one Rice of Rio.
I like that name.
Well, you made it the other night with butternut squash.
Right.
This one's with parsnips. I love them both.
Okay, that's good.
Next we have, this is Ann Wigmore's energy soup. Some people like it with papaya, some people like it with seed cheese.
Right, the reason they separate it like this is for people that come in with candida. They can forego the fruit and just have the greens and the seed cheese.
Exactly. And you can always serve all of this with a nice green salad, and you're good to go.
That's right.
So why don't we head into the kitchen?
Let's do
go
that.
Inside,
okay.
And you can all learn how to make this right at home in your kitchen. Well, now here's your book, and you have some recipes in here for energy soup.
Right.
And I understand you have tons of recipes for energy soup.
Well, there's so many different ways that you can make it, but we'll just do a couple today.
Okay.
One, the way they do it here at the Institute, and the second one we'll do more like if you're home and you can't get, let's say, sunflower greens or buckwheat greens, what can you substitute for those? And also for Rejuvelac. It's 1 cup of Rejuvelac, and this Rejuvelac drink is wonderful because it's full of enzymes and acidophilus and all kinds of good things. So I'm going to pour about 1 cup in there, and so then what we're going to do is, if you'll chop up a couple of these apples, we'll put the apples in.
Now these don't have to be too finely chopped, again, because we're using the vitamins. Okay.
Right.
Okay, so start on the avocado?
Yes, we're going to put half an avocado in there, and I just want to show you, this is sunflower greens and buckwheat greens. And these are the core things that they put in the energy soup here at the Institute, the sunflower and the buckwheat.
They call them the babies.
That's right, because they're grown in little trays in just a very little bit of soil. So I'm just going to put some in here, so that's like about 2 cups. And then I'll take some of this. Oh, aren't they beautiful?
They're gorgeous.
Look at that. Are they gorgeous
and
or
when you
what?
think about it, there's the energy of an entire plant locked into these baby greens. All of that energy that would be growing into a mature plant.
Exactly.
The enzymes, the nutrients.
It's all there.
All that life force is right there.
It's all there. So you can put that in there.
All right. This goes in right away.
And what they add to this recipe is they put, now maybe I should sort of like, maybe I should just blend it just a little bit. Just going to turn this around. Okay. And it's going to make a big noise. These are also some sprouts that they use, pea sprouts and lentil sprouts. So we can use maybe a tablespoon of each of these.
So now you're getting your proteins here.
Now you're getting your
in
proteins.
addition to the
More,
baby greens.
although there's protein in the other, but this is more
complex
concentrated.
Carbohydrates.
Exactly.
In the peas and the beans.
And then we're going to put about a half a cup of, this is a seaweed called dulse. So we're going to put about half a cup. I'm eyeballing it. I think this is about half a cup.
And then you have all your minerals.
Exactly. So it's like a complete meal. Okay. So I think that's done.
Ready.
Wasn't
very
that quick?
Very easy.
Very quick.
And I think we should taste them.
Yes.
Look at these great bowls that she brought down. They're little gourds.
These are gourds. They're called iguera. They're like from the area of Puerto Rico.
So talk about having a natural dinner.
A natural dinner. There you go.
That looks fantastic.
Want to have a little taste? Is it good?
Oh, that is so good. The avocado gives it a really nice creamy texture.
Oh, it is good.
It's great.
It's delicious. And you know what? Eating it out of these gourds just gives it an extra flavor.
Wonderful. Now, in Dr. Ann's original recipe, which you have in your book, they use apples. However, I just wanted to mention that here in Puerto Rico, now they're making energy soup with papayas because they just grow so wonderfully here, and they are the yummiest, sweetest.
They are so delicious. They're the best.
For the next recipe, just in case you don't have access to the baby greens, the buckwheat and the sunflower sprouts, you could probably use just about any dark green leafy vegetable.
Right. These are vegetables that are usually available in the United States. This is a red Swiss chard, and this is a white Swiss chard. You see by the stems are red, the stems are white. And this is Jacinto kale, which is kind of an heirloom kale that grows. And over here, we have a kind of
native spinach.
A native spinach that grows in Puerto Rico. It's a little different from the spinach that we're used to. It has a beautiful heart leaf.
I just want to show you this. This was picked fresh this afternoon in the Ann Wigmore garden.
It grows on a big vine, and it just keeps growing and growing. You pick it, and it keeps growing. You have it forever, one plant or two on that vine.
And it has a slightly different flavor than the spinach we're used to.
That's true.
But it's delicious, a little chewier.
So I'm not going to use the stems in the recipe. I'm just going to use the leaves. So with the Swiss chard, we're going to cut the stems out, and we'll save the stems for another use. So I'll just chop this up a little bit, and meanwhile you can cut that avocado.
So this recipe also calls for avocado.
It's actually the same recipe, except we're just using different greens that are more available in the States. Or actually the buckwheat and sunflower are available in the States, but not readily available.
Just in case you can't get them.
Right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, again, put about a cup of the Juvelax in the Vitamix. Then we're going to put all these greens in. And again, 1 to 5 cups. When you're starting out, maybe 1 cup would be enough because it's so green, you know. And then maybe you could chop up a couple of apples.
Okay.
And I'll take that and put it in. This is about half of an avocado. And over here, we have a seaweed. It's a purple seaweed called dulse. And use about half a cup in it. So that's about it. Oh, and then the spinach, but I'm sort of going to blend this down a little bit now. So I have more space to put more things in. I just blended it down a little bit to give us room to put some more things in. And again, we're going to put the peas, the sprouted peas, about a tablespoon.
And the lentils?
And the sprouted lentils, about a tablespoon. And some of this viney spinach. This is a very green soup. But that's, you know, what people need when they are healing, because a soup like this brings oxygen into your body, and that's what you want, oxygen.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm ready with the apples.
Okay.
And just pack that down. Okay.
have? This is the basic of the energy soup.
And then
you can sort of go on your own.
It doesn't need lemon. This is great.
Is it good?
Wonderful.
Let me taste it.
And it's not too green. It's not too green at all. The apple
No,
is a
I think
nice
the
thing.
apple, definitely.
This is a good one.
And it blends down so fast in that.
I'm wondering, you could, if you wanted to put a few herbs in here. It doesn't really need it, but you could.
You could put some basil or cilantro, whatever kind of herbs that appeal to you.
Rio's next recipe is just about everybody's favorite.
That's right. We're going to make
pizza. Yeah.
Make pizza. Raw pizza.
Raw pizza. So your next Saturday night party, this is it.
That's right.
Okay.
And how we start out is, remember earlier we put the almond pulp to dehydrate? First thing we're going to do is take that pulp out.
There it is.
Here it is, all dry. And I'm going to then transfer to the bowl here. Make it into flour.
Yes.
Take a little coffee grinder. Just grind it up.
And you just do it in batches.
Just do it in batches.
Yes.
And we've already got some done over here. So we're going to measure out 1 cup of this. And you can make the flour out of any nut or seed that you have made nut milk or yogurt with. Any pulp that's left, just dehydrate it and then grind it.
Exactly.
Then we're going to make half a cup of flaxseed. This is the golden flaxseed. Beautiful, huh?
It's gorgeous. Now there you have your omega-3s and essential fatty acids.
1 cup of flour to a half a cup of the flax. You can use either a zucchini or a cucumber, a small one. This is what I would consider a medium one, so I'll cut a little bit off to make it like small.
Should I start on some scallions here?
Yes.
Okay.
Please. I'm going to need about 2 tablespoons of scallions. And all we're going to do is just add this in. This will give the flour some moisture. Add it right in. And process it. And then what we're going to do, instead of using Celtic sea salt, I dehydrated some celery. I just cut up the celery, put it in the dehydrator overnight, and when it dried out, I just did the same thing as I did with the flour, and this is celery powder.
And so you make your own, and this is a substitute for Celtic sea salt.
Exactly. Now, if you buy celery salt in the market, it's going to have actual salt in it. So this only has the sodium that's naturally occurring in the celery. So put about 2 tablespoons in that. It's a wonderful idea for people that can't have salt. And then we can just, that's about, I'm going to eyeball it. That's about 2 tablespoons.
And if there's a little extra in there, that's okay
all right.
too. Just, make it to your own liking.
And that's it. So that's very, very simple. Now what I want to do is make it ball up. So I'm going to add a little bit of water so that it'll ball up like a dough.
Now this is just like in regular cooking. You'd have your dry ingredients and then your wet ingredients when you're making normal pizza flour.
Exactly.
Yes.
But we put the cucumber or the zucchini in it to give it flavor, to give those ingredients flavor. Sounds good.
Okay, and it's green, but that's a good thing. Raw food is like green pizza crust, yes?
Right.
Okay. Oh, and this is nice because the flax seeds stayed whole.
Yes.
So it makes it it's a nice crunch when you're chewing it.
So what I'll do is I'll just get the dehydrator tray and I'll mold it right on the tray. Take the dough, stick it right on, and my hands are clean, of course. We'll just mold this into a pizza dough.
So now are you going to be throwing this up in the air the way they...
No.
And how long will this dehydrate for?
Probably overnight. This is a new recipe for me, actually. I created this for the Wigmore Institute because it meets all the parameters.
Wonderful. Another new dish for the Wiggies here.
Pretty easy and pretty fast.
Well, it looks wonderful. You could make it bigger than this.
Bigger than this. Or you could spread it out thinner. And then what we can do on the edges is just sort of...
Little crimping.
Yeah, a little crimping there. That's not bad, huh?
That looks terrific.
And how quickly, do you see how quickly that happens?
It's great.
Isn't that amazing?
That's absolutely perfect.
So now what we'll do is we'll dehydrate it overnight.
And I know you have a finished one that's already been dehydrated. All right. Whoops.
And see how flexible it is?
Just like
a regular pizza
Just like a normal pizza.
Flexible.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll set this aside and we'll make the cheese.
So for the cheese, we have 2 cups of almonds.
We're going to make an almond ricotta. We're going to pour these almonds in. Then we're going to take I'll start with about 3/4 of a cup of water. And if you could just maybe cut up some basil and some oregano, that'll be great. We don't even have to chop it. We can just put it in because it'll blend right in. And I'll put a few little scallion fins. There. I think we have cheese.
Okay, so we're ready for our pizza crust. Cheese is the next layer.
And of course we have extra cheese.
I'm just going to take a tiny taste right now. Oh, that is delicious.
Good.
The flavoring of the oregano and the basil, you were right, a little goes a long way. Just
Not
perfect.
too overpowering?
No, it's wonderful. Isn't that good?
It's good. You could cut up those dried tomatoes.
And now we have dried tomatoes over here. How many of these do you think we should use?
Oh, just cut up maybe half of them.
Okay.
Does that look pretty or what?
Oh, that's gorgeous.
And then let's see. We can put some of these scallions on it.
You can see by the way I'm chopping this, I am not quite proficient in a kitchen. But I try.
Most of us aren't. You know that? Most of us aren't.
I mean,
we can still make
it's
food.
all squishy here, and I don't have that chef's touch, but I'm learning.
Then we can put some fresh tomatoes on it. So gorgeous.
So much flavor in the sun-dried tomatoes also. They have so much flavor.
That's true. And we're going to mix those sun-dried tomatoes with some avocado here. Give you some avocado that you can sort of like dice in there.
All right. So I'm making a paste with both of these ingredients.
With both of those.
Got it.
Then we can put some celery powder in this to flavor it.
There again, instead of Celtic sea salt, this is Rio's alternative.
This oregano is different, isn't it? This is what grows here in Puerto Rico. Big leaf oregano, because the oregano that we know is the little leaf one. So people might be confused. They might think that's not oregano.
I wonder how many different varieties there are.
Probably a lot.
Now, is that probably...
That's about it. Now
Okay.
take a spoon and just sort of spoon
Okay.
it on. I just wanted to show this knife. It's a mezzaluna knife. It's very easy to do your herbs this way and get them really fine. And so I wanted to add a few of these into your to flavor that a little more. And what I'll do is, after you finish, I'll decorate with some of these.
Oh, okay.
Is that looking good or what?
Now, should this be smashed down finer? Maybe I should let you do this part, or?
You're doing fine.
Okay.
And then we're going to, since this is the Ann Wigmore Institute and sprouts are king here, right? We have to put some sprouts on this.
There we go. Voila, as they
These
say.
are buckwheat sprouts. Oh, and then the mushrooms, right?
Maybe a few more of these guys?
Sure.
They're so beautiful and colorful. Oh, gorgeous. Oh, yes, definitely more
So
chives.
we can maybe put these around the edge. You can help me.
Okay.
This is so gorgeous. Can you wait to eat this or what?
This is going to be demolished within about 3 minutes,
10 minutes.
I think. Everyone that's
there
standing by watching us make this. Wow.
Look at that. Is that a gorgeous pizza?
Ta-da!
A raw pizza, a live pizza. Now this will put some bounce in your step.
Many people think that once you switch to a raw live diet, you won't be able to get enough protein. So today we're making tuna, but it's mock tuna, that's T-O-O-N-A, and it's a recipe that's also in Rio's book.
That's right. And for the protein part, we have walnuts. And I contend that there's protein in every fruit and vegetable that exists, but for people that seem to need a little more or want a little more, we can go to the nuts, we can go to seeds, sprouted seeds, we can go to sprouted grains, lentils. So this recipe starts, the base is carrot and walnut. And what we're going to do is put it through the champion juicer with the blank in. That's this part that doesn't make the juice part. It's like a blank. Right there, the blank part.
Also called the homogenizer plate.
Here's the blade.
Meanwhile, while you're setting up, should I help out by, I'll start dicing some tomatoes here?
So, we're going to put it in and homogenize the walnuts and the carrots. And what I'll do is I'll put a little bit of each one because the moisture from the carrots will help break down the walnuts.
Now, do you want these diced?
Yes. Now the walnuts, I soak them overnight in filtered water, and then I drain them. And that helps you digest the protein that's in them better. And it releases some of the fat also, so they're not as fatty.
There you go. Now, if you're doing the carrots with any kind of nut, walnuts, almonds, this is a great base for many raw live dishes, isn't it? All kinds of pâtés.
It could be. I haven't experimented beyond this one particular recipe, but that's what the lifestyle is all about. You take the recipes and you make them your own. Let's say you don't like this, you don't like that, put something else in. And it's 90 times out of 100 it's going to work, or 9 times out of 10 it's going to work.
So just vary it with your own favorite veggies, herbs, whatever you like.
So now this is the pâté, which is kind of bland, and then what we're going to do is we're going to switch machines. We're going to take the champion, put it over there, bring the food processor, and then I'm going to blend some herbs and some other things into it to give it the flavor.
Okay, I'm done with these tomatoes here.
Okay.
And I think you mentioned I should start on a cucumber for chopping
yes, please.
next.
using a food processor with the S blade is in there. And we're going to put about, a cup of celery with the leaves, because the leaves add a lot of flavor. I'm just sort of eyeballing it.
And you have your powdered celery also, I see.
Right.
The salt substitute.
This is cilantro, basil. This is basil from the Wigmore garden, and some parsley.
And I think you wanted these green onions.
Yep. Thank you. And I'd say about half a cup of these green onions.
Also known as scallions.
Yes. And about 2 ounces of lemon juice. And instead of Celtic salt, again, we're using the celery, dehydrated celery powder. Just cut it up really fine, dehydrate it overnight, and then grind it in a little coffee grinder or nut grinder. And I would say about a tablespoon of that.
And it's amazing how much flavor that adds.
It really does.
That smells so wonderful. Very aromatic. Very fresh.
Add that in.
I think you mentioned also some sprouts.
Yes,
let's do some sprouts. Nice, fresh, wiggy sprouts from the greenhouse. The babies, as they call them.
And I'm just going to take a little taste, the way they do here at the Institute, on the back of their hand.
Don't leave me out.
Okay. That's how you find out if you need a little extra something. I think I need a little extra lemon juice.
Oh, it's really good though.
And a little extra celery.
Pepper.
Because I think that presentation is so important with any kind of food.
Absolutely.
Presentation of it, that it looks beautiful. We'll put this plate on top, and we'll turn it over, and then we'll say,
abracadabra, presto, changeo. Hey!
Not bad, not bad.
Not bad at all. Now, should I sprinkle these around the sides? Where are these going?
Well, first I'm going to, here, see these?
Oh, yeah.
What you can do is put some of these around the edge, and I'm going to cut up some of this bell pepper.
This is certainly a colorful presentation.
You can serve it like this with crudité, and you don't just have to use celery and carrots. You can use
zucchini,
strips, you can use any
cucumber.
kind of vegetable.
Is that beautiful or what? It looks like the sun shining.
If I do say so myself. Rawsome.
Rawsomely gorgeous. Let's have a taste.
Taste?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So we'll have to ruin your pretty little decorations here. We're pretending that these are leftovers now.
This is the nori paper, and what we'll do is we'll start at one end. The Japanese have a little mat that they put this on.
To roll it up, yeah.
To roll it up. It makes it a little easier, but you can do it without the mat too.
I always do it without the mat.
You do?
Yeah, and they always fall apart. Okay, I'm ready with the sprouts.
Now what we're going to do is put some of those sprouts in.
Okay.
And then some of the cucumber.
Now I like that you have these chopped first because they're a little bit easier to bite into.
Yeah. Put some cucumber in it.
Here's some tomato over here.
There's some tomato. Put it in.
So this is a nori roll tuna sandwich.
Right.
A little bit of,
and of course
squeeze a little bit of lemon maybe.
You could, and then you could put anything else that you fancy in there. I just chose these, but you can put anything else. So what you do is you just pull up the back, and then sort of roll it tight there. Bring it over like that, and there you go.
Perfect.
There you go. There's a nori roll. Now what you can do is put a little water on the edge, and that'll keep it flat. This is a sharp knife, so we'll cut it.
Just like in a Japanese restaurant, a perfect little nori roll. Okay. I have to say, the extra tomato and the sprouts in there, it's swimming with flavors now.
That's true.
Perfect. Delicious. You have to try this one. This is a brand new recipe that Rio just came up with. I think this one's going to make it into your next book.
For sure.
The other day we made it with butternut squash, and I see now we're trying it with parsnips.
Right. I've got 3, with sweet potatoes, with beets, and we made it with butternut. But the one that tastes most like rice, I think, is the parsnips. So I'm just going to chop up 2 cups of these parsnips.
And I know you need some
and I need about
carrots.
half a cup of that. So 2 cups of parsnips, roughly chopped, into the food processor. And for 2 cups, I'm using half a cup of pine nuts, which have been soaked for at least 4 hours.
And how am I on the carrots here? You needed about half a cup? A little bit more maybe? Or is that good?
Half a cup is good.
Alrighty.
And then what you could do is chop up some of those peas, the parsnips, pine nuts, the carrots. Now we're going to put about 3 tablespoons of lemon juice. And I'm going to throw a little extra. And then this is celery powder, the dehydrated celery again because we're using this instead of the Celtic sauce. And I'll put about 2 tablespoons of this. That's it. We're going to blend it up. I want it to get sort of like a rice consistency.
And how coarsely would you like the snow peas chopped? A little bit finer than that? Okay.
This is such a quick and simple recipe. It just takes a few minutes, really.
And so tasty. I really loved it the other day with the butternut squash, too.
Each vegetable gives it a different flavor, but this particular one is the one that I think tastes most like rice.
Now I'm chopping the snow peas, and we have some red pepper here.
Right.
You could vary the other ingredients as well, couldn't you? With some other when you're adding.
Well, it's a new recipe. I'm just experimenting with it, so I'm sure I'll discover some other things, but this is what I've done so far.
Okay, you need a half cup of this? Or does it matter? Just eyeball it?
Just put it in.
Okay.
So I'm going to call this something.
Maybe you should call it rice a Rio.
That's a thought.
Rice a la Rio.
Now, how quick was that?
That was a snap.
I mean, that took, what, 5 minutes?
No prep time at all.
Unbelievable.
Can't wait to try it. Yes.
It's wonderful.
Raw rice like this, it's
really
great.
Wonderful. Kind of looks like rice, doesn't it?
It looks like a rice pilaf. What else would you have with this?
Probably a green salad.
This and a green salad would be a complete dinner.
Right.
We have some young coconuts here. Now this one is a little bit older than this one. Here you can see the coconut butter or jelly as it's called.
It's very soft. You can see that it will just come right off like that.
And this one is a little bit firmer.
You can be grating some of that coconut, which we're going to put in the fudge later. The first thing is we're going to make a coconut cream out of this fresh coconut. So I'm just going to put it through the champion juicer. And also you can put the pulp in again to get more.
And this is what you get. Look at
Yummy.
this wonderful sweet coconut cream. Isn't that
Just
great looking?
Perfectly natural. And the pulp doesn't have to be thrown away. What you can do with the pulp is get a dehydrator tray and just spread it on the dehydrator tray and dehydrate it. And then you can use it in bread recipes and all kinds of other goodies that you're making because it will dry into a flour.
You can do this with virtually any nut.
Any
you can,
nut?
You can take the milk out of it or seeds and then use the rest of it as a flour.
Exactly. So everything is used.
Now, for how long and how many degrees would you be dehydrating this?
I dehydrate around 95 degrees, and usually this will take about 24 hours.
Okay.
And I would spread it a little bit thinner.
A little bit thinner.
A little bit thinner on the tray. The next step is we're going to drain these pecans that I've been soaking overnight. Drain the water out of them.
And you need about a half a cup of the shredded coconut, you said? Okay.
Half a cup. Leaving some pecans there. Okay. Then I'm going to add, I believe this is about 1 cup of dates here. I'm going to add that to the pecans. And then I'm going to put it all through the juicer again to make kind of like a paste. But first I have to change the juicer part here. We were using the juicer screen, but now I'm going to use the blank screen, which is this one. Put that in. And since it's all going in the same thing, I don't bother to wash this. If I was making a different dish, then I would rinse it. Or if I was making something savory and then something sweet, I would rinse it. So this is the basis for our fudge, pecans and dates. Since we're going to make it fudgy, we're going to use carob powder. About 6 tablespoons of carob.
Should I be starting on these vanilla beans?
Yes, you can cut like a half of vanilla bean, just cut it in little pieces.
In case you haven't seen these, they're much better than the vanilla that comes in the bottle.
Oh, definitely, and no additives. Then into this fudge, I'm going to add about half of a cup of the coconut cream that we made. It's so luscious. Oh my goodness.
Sweet coconut cream.
And just blend it all together. So then we're going to grind up the vanilla bean a little bit. Make powder.
Sounds like being in the dentist's office.
No, I guarantee it's much more pleasant. And the reason we do this is not to use the vanilla that comes in a little bottle, because that has a lot of additives in it. And so we just want the direct vanilla bean.
Absolutely.
And then we're going to add, for a little more sweetness, we're going to add a few tablespoons of honey.
Oh yes, let's kick it up a notch.
Kick it up a notch, as everyone would say, right? This would be about 4 tablespoons of honey. Now, after I mix it up really good, then we're going to add that coconut there into it.
Okay.
Is that about a half a cup? It doesn't have to be exact.
Oh, a little more is good.
And then
we can eyeball
half a cup of the walnuts.
Okay.
And make it like crunchy. Oh, this is
Do these
so
need
good.
to be chopped a little bit more?
I think they're fine.
They're fine, okay. Is that about right?
Perfect. Put it in for the crunch. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to put it into this bowl. I'm going to spread it out, and then we're going to put just a plain coconut cream topping on it.
Which we have right here. So this didn't even need any cinnamon or nutmeg or anything else. It's just perfect the way it is. A little bit of vanilla, fresh vanilla.
And then what you do is put it in the freezer.
Okay.
And you can keep it in the freezer. It hardens up and becomes like very fudgy.
Oh, this looks great.
This one is one that I made ahead of time.
Isn't that gorgeous? How about just a little extra coconut?
Okay.
Bam.
Bam.
Is that for me?
this.
All right.
So,
Oh, look at this.
what do you think? Is it fudge ecstasy or what?
Ecstasy. And then there's graduation. It's a party. This is the beginning of the rest of your life.
Pasaron 10 años y vi nuestros hijos correr y reír. Sueños tan my peace and joy will last.
This is a time for celebrating and to be joyful. And what I want you to do is take the same feeling home with you, and that's what keeps you doing the things that are positive. Celebrate every little thing that you do that's positive. And I'd like to suggest this person, as soon as they get home, get that Rejuvenac going. Roberta. You are love, Roberta. You are love. Woo!
I was at the end of my rope when I was handed a book of Ann Wigmore, and I read the entire thing. I was just so hungry for it. I read the entire thing in like a couple of hours. After being ill for 2.5 years, chronically ill. I was in a lot of pain. I was losing weight rapidly, and I was just shutting down. My whole body was shutting down, and I was at my worst point. Here I am now at the Wigmore Institute receiving my certificate for going through the program and being a graduate. I learned a lot of techniques as far as alternative methods of cleansing that I didn't know before. You know, the breathing exercises, the skin brushing, all of those things, and the walks on the beach, being right here by the beach and doing the conscious walking every day, and the exercising, and just being here in this environment was extremely healing. I got out of pain.
It's been a wonderful experience for me. Definitely life-changing. There's so much magic in this food. It goes way beyond just health and healing. It's also about spirituality. Before I came here, I was studying meditation and yoga, and coming here and then transferring onto a living foods diet, my meditation was just phenomenal.
I've been coming down here to the Ann Wigmore Institute, my goodness, it's over 10 years. I was here in 1991, soon after they established the place, and I got to meet Ann Wigmore herself. And Ann Wigmore was such a spirit to me that made an impression on me that has stayed with me ever since. But I've tried other spas. I've gone to many different places to lose the weight, to feel good, and there is no place like this. There's no place where you feel not only physically good, but you feel spiritually lifted, because everywhere you turn, there's someone giving you a hug, someone showing you love, someone supporting you. You really feel wonderful here.
Elaine, you are love. Elaine, you are love.
My mother has been a pioneer with health foods and a healthy lifestyle all my life, and she invited me to come to the Ann Wigmore Institute, and it's been a blessing ever since I've been here. It's been a wonderful time for my mother and I, and we've met some wonderful people here. Yes. Oh, I'm so glad she's here. You know, I told her about it, and it just was so much better, so much greater than she expected. Like she says, it's like camp, but the food is great. And the people, I can't even begin to tell you, the people have so much passion and so much love for each one of us. Each one of us is important. Isn't that true, Carrie?
That's right.
It's a beautiful place. In fact, I have to tell you that we're going to have a reunion every year and come back. I mean, this is our vacation. We can come here, we can look beautiful, leave healthier, thinner, and have a great time.
I've been at the Ann Wigmore Institute for 2 weeks now. It was the best money I've ever spent. It's the best gift I could have given myself. I've been in a raw food support group in New York City for almost 2 years. I wanted to have a firm foundation in the raw food, living foods lifestyle, and I've gotten such a tremendous hands-on experience. So I want to stop crying, so I want to sing a little song, and then you can join in with me to help me stop, and it's very simple. Love isn't love till you give it away, give it away, give it away. Love isn't love till you give it away, and you end up having more. I feel wonderful. I will throw in that I've lost 9 pounds since I've been here, and I had lost about 35 pounds since I've gone raw. And I fully anticipate that I will be making energy soup at home, and it's going to become a staple in my diet. And I plan to sprout sunflower greens. As I said, it's just been a great experience.
I came here with high blood pressure, diabetes, and I was using my hormone patches for the hot flashes. Within the first 3 days, I stopped my blood sugar because my blood sugar corrected itself, and it was perfect after the 3rd day of this lifestyle. And within a week, I've stopped my blood pressure spill too. And I don't have enough time in my life to thank this institute and their teachings for a wonderful life that I think I'm going to have from now on.
You can let your true self show. I know who you are. You're a precious child of God. Jane, you are love. Jane, you are love.
Thank you, I didn't really know where to go, except my wife had been here many, many years ago, and she said, if you really want to learn it, this is the place to go. And I can't tell her enough how much I thank her and love her, because I not only got the raw food and the energy from that, but I developed a whole new thought process. I got the mind part as well as the energy part from the energy soup and all of the other things that I first didn't like. But I learned to love them, and I'm telling you, I am going to be a raw fooder now.
After the past 2 weeks, I feel so great. I'm very happy that I discovered that place. I lost 12 pounds, and I have so much energy every morning. I always in the morning feel very sluggish at home. I have no problem to wake up anymore. I have a lot of problems. I have reflux, allergies, and with the accident I have this problem in my neck, muscle spasm, and with all this that I receive here helped me to relax, to rejuvenate, have a lot of energy, and I feel like a new person.
Mothers out there need to know, need to realize how easy it is to make live, living raw baby food, and it's the simplest thing. It just takes a little soaking overnight and blending. It's only blended. And he actually even eats sprouted sunflower seeds, so you don't even have to blend it, but blended is better. And that they need to know that, because that's the healthiest way a baby needs to eat, living, just like the breast milk, live food. It's packed with the enzymes, and it's already fermented a little, and he's thriving on it.
I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer and just getting progressively worse. All the things that I was trying were getting less and less effective until I came here and came on the raw food diet. And I feel better, I look younger, and I'm here to just clear up. And I know to prolong my life even more, clear up all the obstacles.
And I just wanted to come here for 2 weeks and detox and kind of get away from my hectic life. And I wasn't even a vegetarian when I came here, and I didn't feel very good for the first few days. But I started noticing that the longer I stuck with it, I started feeling incredible and like so much energy. My mind started to clear up, and I feel like this food is a natural antidepressant. Once you start doing physical detoxing, you start to do a lot of emotional healing, and I feel like a much more well-rounded person.
I eat living food when I'm here, 100%, just about. And the living food keeps you flexible and keeps your yoga flowing.
It's just been a fantastic experience. It's changed my life. They've got so many different kinds of recipes that I didn't know about. I thought nuts and seeds, I don't know, I don't think I can live on that. But there is a lot of variety on the foods.
I have been here now for, let's see, it's been almost 3 months. And I can't tell you all the benefits that I have gotten from this place. Besides being educated about the living and raw food, living foods here at the Ann Wigmore Institute, and the benefits of Wheatgrass and Rejuvelac and Energy Soup, I also have gained something even more complementary to that, and that is the love and the light and the support of the people here has been tremendous. I have had wonderful colonics, and I've had wonderful Traeger massages.
So you were just down at the Ann Wigmore Institute in Puerto Rico. Did you have a good time there?
We had the best time ever. It was outrageous. We were like a firecracker in there. And they're so calm and they're so mellow, and it's such a healing environment, and they're really coming from love. And then when you couple that with the teachings of Ann Wigmore and the beautiful cuisine and the real healing food that they have there, it's like a magical formula. There was a girl there, and she's been attempting to heal herself now for quite some time, and she came up to me and she said, I haven't felt this good in 2 years.
Well,
and
there you go.
That's what it's all about.
Dr. Ann Wigmore was an example of what is humanly possible. She acts as a major inspiration to all of us. And when I saw her the last time, which was about 6 months before she died because of smoke inhalation, she basically said to me, you know, Victor, I can go anytime, and it's all right. I feel like I've done what I needed to do. She left behind something of a wonderful gift to all of us. One is an inspiration that no matter how much challenged and limited you might be as an individual, you can overcome it with persistence, dedication, belief, and utilizing the best possible nutrition, non-doubt, belief in yourself, being surrounded and reading good books, uplifting, friendship, humanitarian service, taking care of your body on levels, and believing in yourself and asking for whatever you wanted. She is an example, starting with nothing and becoming who she became, a mark in the history of nutritional evolution.
Where are you now? Dr. Ann, Dr. Ann, where are you now? Dr. Ann, Dr. Ann, where are you now?
That's why people come to us from all over the world to just experience this method of learn by doing and become their own doctors and become healthy, because that's our birthright. Health is a birthright.